Hello, fifth period. First of all, I want to apologize that I have a mustache. You're going to see this in the video tomorrow because you guys get two videos. But it was Halloween. My son wanted to be Sonic, and he wanted me to be Dr. Eggman. And so I went all in, and I did a mustache. But here's the thing for you, fifth period. I'm your class specifically. I'm going to be gone Monday today and Tuesday. So you guys you're getting two intro videos from me. So this one's specifically for you, fifth period. All I ask is that you guys you're nice to the sub and you're productive. Okay. This class, I feel like, has a lot of energy for Let's Play Politics. And so you're going to be doing a lot of that tomorrow. Okay. But for you guys, what you're going to be doing today is you're going to get a worksheet after this video is done. It looks like this. Okay. This worksheet covers 10.3 and 10.5. And so I'd like you to get out some notes and just write 10.3, which you should already have done. We already did notes on 10.3. And then I'm going to give you a quick intro to 10.5, and you're going to kind of do that on your own tomorrow. So let's see, Friday, I believe. Wednesday. Yeah, you guys, Wednesday. We talked about cannot voters. These are people who literally, legally cannot vote. Okay. And then we talked about non-voters. The reason that these are people who can vote, but they don't vote. And why don't they vote? It's because they have low political efficacy. They feel like they can't make a difference. They say, no matter who wins, nothing will change for people like me, or my vote doesn't matter, and things like that. So we talked about that. Okay. Even if they do get in there and complete the ballots, or get to the ballots, they sometimes won't even leave them finished. And you can see this in our mock political campaign election that we did on Wednesday. You can see this in the results of that, which are posted on Google Classroom. The candidates down at the bottom, like Judge Marshall and the land sanitation people, had way less votes than, say, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. That's a good example of ballot fatigue. And I'm sorry if I don't remember if we got to this in your class, but I'm just going over it, and I'll give you some new information here in a second. Also, important thing when we're talking about why don't people vote? Sometimes people just don't vote because it's an off-year election. They feel like it's not that significant. So, for example, if you look at this presidential election in 2016, 60% voter turnout. In 2018, there was no presidential election. It was just representatives, senators that were running. You only had 49%. And so that's usually typical. On off-year elections, which are like 2019, typically there's even less voter turnout. Those are for like city council positions. But during presidential elections, there's more people turning out. It's very possible that this presidential election Tuesday that we could see above 70%, which would be the highest since I think like 1890. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Okay, so this should be new information. So when we're looking at what influences voter behavior, this isn't about and you can write this question down. Before, we're talking about why don't people vote? People don't vote because they feel like they can't make a difference. They think the election doesn't matter because it's an off year. If they do vote, they get tired and they don't fill in the last things, ballot fatigue. Now we're going to look at the people who do vote, and then what influences their voting behavior. Okay. So your book divides this into two categories. These are useful to think about, but I would use them loosely. So I want you on your left side of your paper, go ahead and write sociological, or if you want to write it normal, that's fine too. When we're talking about sociological impact, this is things that are beyond your control, typically, for the most part. For example, you could be born into a low socioeconomic status, or you could be born super duper wealthy. Okay. That'd be your income. That has an impact on how you vote. If you're born into a wealthy family, it actually isn't a huge indicator of whether you're Republican or Democrat, but say you're in a family that has a lot of income and they don't like taxes, they might be more Republican. If you're in a wealthy family that is really concerned about the way society is going that might end up being Democrat. But anyway, your income can impact you. Right now, there's a big change. Typically, Democrats were supported by low economic status. With Trump, you see a shift of people in a low economic status, like workers, are supporting Trump over Harris. Your occupation. If you're in a union job, again, this is another thing that's shifting. Typically, if you're in a union, you tend to be Democrat. But even with unions in Michigan and Pennsylvania, those have been shifting towards Trump as well. But your occupation, if you're a teacher, teachers tend to be more left of center. If you're a political professor, you tend to be more left of center. The more education you have, you tend to be more left leaning. College professors are disproportionately Democrat. Your gender is significant. Women tend to be more Democrat. Men tend to be Republican. Age can impact how you vote or how much you vote. And those are all different sociological factors. You're going to be actually breaking these down more with this sheet. The other one is psychological. So this is perceptions of the parties. Say you might fit into a traditional category that associates with Republican or Democrat, but you might have a psychological impact that makes it so you vote different than your sociological predisposition to voting. So, for example, you might be, I'm trying to think of a good example. You might be a evangelical Christian who typically votes Republican, but you might find some of the things that Donald Trump says is repulsive to you personally. You feel like it's immoral or something like that. In that case, you might end up voting for the Democratic candidate. On the flip side, you might be a union member, which is traditionally Democrat, but you feel like Donald Trump might as a person, might do more for you economically, so you'd vote for Donald Trump. So those are psychological. This baby here, statistics show this baby will most likely vote Democrat when they turn 18. This is a sociological impact because these parents are Democrat. Their child is more likely to be Democrat. So your parents have a huge impact on you. This is a fun game, but we're not going to do that. I'll provide a link for the sub. And if the sub would like to, for you fifth period, if we didn't play it, you guys can do, is it a Trump fridge or a Biden fridge? So we're going to break down psychological a little bit more here. Party identification. This could be loyalty to a political party. So say you're in a demographic that tends to be Democrat, but your parents have taught you to be Republican or vice versa. You might just have loyalty to that party that goes against your tradition, your socioeconomic status. If you identify strongly with a party, first of all, you're more likely to vote. And second of all, you tend to be a straight ticket voter. This means that you may not even know the candidates that are on the ballot very well, but if they have an R or a D for Republican and Democrat by their name, you're going to vote for them. A straight ticket voter goes all the way down the ballot and picks the people from their party. That's straight ticket. Split ticket is the opposite. A split ticket voter, which tends to actually be young people like you guys, they tend to do research on the candidates and say, I'm going to vote Republican here for senator, but for the representative, I'm going to pick a Democrat. And I'm going to pick a libertarian for this position, okay? This means they vote for candidates of more than one party, not part. So they're voting for multiple parties. That's all that means. I'm not sure if when we did the mock election, which one you are. When we're talking about independents, these are people that have no political party affiliation. Independents tend to vote less. They tend to be in the category where they think, my vote doesn't matter or these two parties don't represent me. They also tend to vote split ticket. And these all fit under psychological issues. Okay, so I'm going to skip that. So your assignment, the sub is going to give you this. You're going to categorize these different demographics, okay? I'm going to say something similar in the video tomorrow, and I apologize, but it was for all the students, but I needed to give everybody kind of a view of what's going on. Okay, go ahead and write 10.5. I'm almost done. Give me a couple more minutes. So 10.5 is about public opinion. So we can look at trends demographically, but what this section is about is how do we measure those trends? How are people's public opinions made? This is also a lot about polls. You guys on the second part of this assignment are going to be making your own poll for your political party. Okay. Now, this image is Dewey. The polls at this time, they said that Dewey was going to defeat Truman. So they released this newspaper and that said Dewey defeats Truman. But when the election results came out, Truman actually defeated Dewey, but the newspapers ran it anyway. So this is Truman holding up a newspaper that says Dewey defeats Truman, even though he became the president because the polls were wrong. I'm going to have you guys actually do that. So this whole section is about political socialization. It gets into the sociological factors, like what makes you a Democrat or Republican or independent. I want you to write these 4 down. I'm going to turn you loose. First of all, the biggest impact on what you are going to be politically, I'm just saying statistically, you can rebel against your parents if you want, is family. You don't have to write that whole thing down, but the influence the family has on political opinions is due to that the family, when you, from about 1 to 5, they have a monopoly on what your ideas are. And even from then on, all the way up till 18, roughly, they're going to have a huge impact on who you are. And in fact, even if you rebel against your parents because they're too much of one party, they probably have indoctrinated you to do that. And that's just baked into the cake. And then when you get older, you're going to be like your parents. It's a terrible tragedy. Trust me. My dad has a mustache just like this. Children raised by Democrats are Democrats. Republicans are Republicans. That tends to be the issue. The second one is school. You guys spend about 10 to 12,000 hours in public school, depending on who you are. And so there's opportunities. You're being educated a certain way. I almost said indoctrinated. That would be bad. But you are having doctrines put in your head, even subconsciously. Like we're teaching you certain types of history, right? We're not teaching Chinese history as much as U.S. history. That shows that school is narrowing your perspective to focus on that. And so that can impact your political socialization. Mass media. This is huge for you guys. Social media has a huge impact on political opinions. People can get into echo chambers where they're getting information that makes them feel good, and it can really skew their political bias. Mass media is this media that reaches a large audience. Finally, your peer groups, your friends. Humans are tribalistic animals. They tend to not want to say things that'll make their friends hate them. This means that your political identity is going to be wrapped up in what your friends think. They might kind of put fences around what you will or will not say, and that can actually impact your political viewpoint. They want to be liked by their peers, so they don't share contrary opinions. I don't know if you guys can think of other factors. There's lots of factors, but these are the main 4 that impact your identity. So what we're going to be doing is the class that you're running for. So you guys are 5th period. Who are you guys? 4th period's running to. You guys are running to my 7th period class. You're going to want to make after you complete this assignment tomorrow, you're going to be making a poll for that class. And I'm going to explain that in a video tomorrow. But you're going to want to measure their political attitudes so you can maybe adjust or cater your message to them, or at least couch it in a certain way so that they'll vote for you. Your goal is to get, in Let's Play Politics, is to get your candidate elected. Okay. Please feel free to have your sub contact me if there's any questions, but the sub can pass this out to you now, and you guys can work on it. You are going to want to have a computer to do this. You have to go to a CNN website and click on the link in this assignment up at the top. It's CNN 2020 presidential election exit polls. At the end, if the sub would like to, they can play the game. Is this a Trump fridge or a Biden fridge? I'll make sure to include that link. And maybe in the last, how about the last 4 minutes, 5 minutes of class, you guys can do that. Okay. So try to at least get this front section done. Get started on this back section. Okay. Thanks, 5th period. Let's see. How do I end this? Stop recording. See you later.